I want to focus on the short term for a minute here. Rob Ninkovich, the relationship between the coach and Aaron Rodgers, what does that have to be, and what has to happen for that to be okay enough for this team to try and make a run at a Super Bowl this year, which they should be thinking about, having been 13-3 a year ago?
Well, you got to have respect. It goes both ways. So when you're playing with a Hall of Fame quarterback or coaching a Hall of Fame quarterback, there has to be respect there. And that goes back to the head coach. When you're in front of your team, you have to have respect as a player to your head coach, because the second that relationship is stressed in front of the team and other players see that, that is not good for the team and the chemistry. So they could talk 4 times a week, and they might not see eye to eye, and Rodgers might be upset that they went up and drafted a quarterback in the first round. But at the end of the day, Rodgers is going to have a fire underneath him. He's going to be motivated to go out there and win football games because of the fact that they traded up for a quarterback to replace him. He's motivated. There's a chip on his shoulder. I can guarantee that. So the relationship there between the coach and the player, it has to be good in front of the team. If you start to have any issue in front of the team, that's when the chemistry can go and fall apart, and that can hurt your team.
Lewis, obviously, these were things that they had to know were going to come into play when they made this decision. So how does it get handled from here in the short run to make sure it works?
Yeah, I think you have to overemphasize communication. You have to kind of make up for the fact that you really weren't proactive in terms of communicating with your franchise quarterback before the draft in terms of, look, it could be a possibility that we move up to draft a quarterback if things fall a certain way here in the first round. Those are the kind of things, those are the kinds of, that's the kind of communication that you really afford a guy of Aaron Rodgers' accomplishments. It's just something that everyone does in the NFL. It's the same as, look, when I was in the front office, everyone was treated fairly, but not everyone was treated the same, especially when you're talking about like releasing players, right? Certain players didn't get a call from the head coach or general manager when you got released. Scouts and personnel directors handled it. But when big name players and players who carried a lot of weight in the organization were released, certain head coaches and general managers handled that kind of thing personally. So right now, handing Aaron Rodgers personally and making sure that you continue to foster this relationship for however long it lasts still is something that has to be very important to Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst, the general manager. It just has to. Otherwise, as Rob's alluding to, if it starts falling apart, the other players are going to see it too. And players will follow their leaders, man. And if the leader isn't getting on well with management, then the rest of the team isn't it either. And the next thing you know, everybody's going to be getting replaced. So they have to make sure they handle it.
Which brings us, Graziano, to the long-term look at this. And based upon the contract situation, what are the different ways this thing could go?
Well, look, I mean, they could, if Jordan Love is hypothetically ready to go in 2021, and if 2020 doesn't go particularly well, the Packers could find a way to get out of Aaron Rodgers' contract next year by designating him a post-June 1st cut and splitting the dead salary cap money up over 2 years. Realistically, the decision probably doesn't come until the 2022 offseason, at which point, the contract is obviously very tradable. His salary's not crazy high for a quarterback of his accomplishments. So you look at that 2022 offseason as one where they could decide to move on again if, capital I, capital F, if Jordan Love is the quarterback they think he's going to be and if he's ready to go at that time. A lot has to happen in order to get to that situation. But one quick thing to Lewis's point, we talked to Brian Gutekunst, the GM, before the draft, and he said he has had conversations with Aaron Rodgers about the team's philosophy on drafting quarterbacks and that Rodgers understood. So it's not as if it was a complete blindside. The front office had laid some groundwork with Rodgers ahead of the draft to try and prepare him for that possibility.
All right, so we will see where all of that goes short term and long. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.